Press play. Get it going.
There we go.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Closing Staff Podcast. Been MIA for a little bit here, but we're still alive. I'll be more or less the host, Trade Hold, and then we have our founding member here, Distro.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Distro, welcome back.
Yeah,
I'm glad
2020.
Yeah, 2020, guys.
2020.
And then our smooth talker over here, Cash Wrap.
Hello, everybody.
The songbird.
Welcome back. The songbird.
The songbird. That's the way of putting it. Yeah.
Oh, Distro, I'm glad to have you back. You as well, Trade Hold. This is going to be a good show.
Okay, so first thing to get started, I just wanted to mention that, before we did our very first recording, we had talked about doing the whole closing staff a year before, and there was a period in which we could not get a hold of each other, which is October to December, and kind of the same thing happened this past year. And I think so from now on, from now on, just letting people know ahead of time. October to December, no recordings.
Yeah, right. We'll be nowhere to be found.
No, yeah.
Everyone's
going to be MIA. It's going to be a lot of, because we have a whole lot of things on, life-wise that we do.
Mm-hmm. That's when I go through and I put the Master Sword back in the stone. Go back 7 years,
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, everything that we reveal during the year, we have to go into hiding for the last 3 months of the year, so we don't get sued. So
there we go.
Yeah. So no, we're not dead. We just we had a lot going on in life, and could not get a hold of one another.
Right. Yes. Came back twice as strong.
Yep. Exactly.
Twice as strong.
So in a few years we'll be exponentially stronger.
There we go.
But, so our subject going into this episode is going to be, where's GameStop headed for 2020? Oof. But before we do that, I think we're going to talk a little bit about holiday shopping. Do you guys do any kind of holiday shopping at all?
Oh man, no, just like the holiday shopping, just craze and GameStop in general. I forget how it is.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell you what, I walked in there just looking for a standard gift card. I apologize advance. An eShop card from Nintendo because so it's like, oh my god. I go in there. Pretty much just taking a quick browse because I haven't been in this GameStop in a minute, so I'm just going through and just kind of take a quick.
You told me the story.
I want to be a fly on the wall usually. I don't like being that guy that walks in and tells himself like I was a GameStop store leader for so and so years.
Yeah.
I don't like doing that and then kind of like swing on my high horse, like as I come in the store. No, like I like just being a fly on the wall, going in there just like your regular old customer, go start checking on the games and stuff, look at the wall, maybe like look at some accessories. Right off the bat, like I could tell she was the store leader, like because she looked so stressed. And then like right off the bat, like her greeting to me was
what a
like
prerequisite.
Yeah, right. No, yeah, like her greeting right off the bat was just like hi. Kind of just like that with like I'm trying so hard to be enthusiastic, like right now I was like I've been there. Yeah. But she comes like running around, she's like, is there anything like I can grab for you real quick, something you're looking for? I'm just like, no, I'm fine, thank you, I appreciate it. And I was like, oh, look, maybe she'll like get the hint right off the bat. And she's like, oh well, let me tell you what, we have this bag that you can basically fill up, but you buy the bag, but then everything you put in the bag once you fill it up is like 15% or 20%, like their little gift bag things. I'm like, oh my god, this is thing, like I remember that bag. Like, as a store leader I used to always hate pushing that bag because they'd always like be like it was always something different. They'd always revamp it somehow because they realized either you're losing money or it just wasn't working.
Right.
And it was like
like circumvent some way of getting extra discounts on items and all that, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's just like what do they call it, the RVT, the rolling value tower. Like they used to have that thing in the front of the store where you'd have to have the bags in the front and stuff.
Yeah.
Like pretty much like with the first thing people would see in the store, and you expect them to grab a bag and be like, hey, but she keeps pushing this bag on me. She's saying like, hey, take the bag. Like, how about you hold on to the bag and then you walk around the store with it, and if there's anything you kind of like, you can just throw in there. I was like, I really don't want the bag.
I don't want the bag.
No, but I was like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not really, like, I'm just kind of looking around for today. And she's just like, are you sure? She's like, all right, I'm gonna leave it right here. Pretty much kind of thing. And I'm just like, oh man, like, is it like, how hard is your district manager like just telling you to push this bag, or is it just
on the bag usage, man?
But it's one of those things where now I'm in the store, I don't really feel comfortable right off the bat. Right. And you're asking me all the wrong questions. Like,
well, you have the bag following you. It's you every time you turn around. There's a bag floating behind you.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Use me.
That's one of the impressions when I was first shopping at GameStop that I really didn't like, and that's why I didn't have like a preferred store for the longest time, because I'm like, man, every GameStop I walk in is like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, just pushing this, and then like at some point I realized like, hey, I'm just here for a $20 eShop card, so my nephew can get his stuff off the Switch, you know?
Yeah.
So I go up and I was just like, oh, do you guys have a Nintendo gift card real quick?
Yeah.
And then like they all like the cashier looks at me kind of like, you know, kind of like, oh, this noob. He's just like, oh, I'm sorry, do you need a gift card? Like we don't have like a GameStop gift card. And I was just like, oh, that's my apologies. I mean like an eShop card.
Right.
And he's just like, no, but are you sure? Like, because you said gift card, so
sure?
Are you looking for something like so that your guy's like, just give me the one with Mario on it, like, you know, that one right here, like this one right here, like.
It's funny you mentioned that, and
like,
all I can think about is a Red from that '70s show. Like, you guys have seen the show, right?
Yeah, of
like,
course.
Like,
Yeah.
I just said, you sure you know what you're looking for? That's the wrong thing, dumbass. Like, that's what I see in my head.
You know, yeah. And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, this one right here, like a $20 eShop card, like, and at that point, I almost kind of want to be like, where's your store leader?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, like, oh yeah, she's the one that was pushing the bag on me. Like,
Right.
can you just get out of here?
Dang, I just
like,
need to leave.
You know, like,
This-
I
this
just want to
isn't-
leave. And then,
yeah.
like, at the same time, too, the store is slamming.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you know, you have
Just
everybody
people
in there
everywhere.
just everywhere because
Yeah.
it's the holiday season. You know how it is.
Mhm.
Just you get either you have the kids in there that the parents left,
Yeah.
you know, while they go shopping,
right. You're
or
right.
you have like, you know, just the people that are in there like just freaking stressed out. Like it's just this whole battlefield, you know.
Well, kind of. Maybe you should have put the card in the bag.
Oh yeah,
Brought the
right.
bag up to the front. Maybe they would have helped you out.
Well, I think that they have adjusted that because it's like collectibles or something, right? Like you can't do gift cards.
Before it was only collectibles, but I think now it's like you just fill the bag up with like just stuff.
I think they switch it off sometimes, but I think there might be something in there about gift cards not included or something.
Yeah.
They usually have something like that.
I just fill the
Yeah.
bag with gift cards. I troll them.
I know, right? Can you imagine
Bunch
that?
of
Just
gift
like
cards in
get a
there.
bunch of gift cards to fill up the whole bag. How much money you can make, dude? You technically you have to spend a lot, but you can probably make a lot, dude.
I was about to say,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you know, like let's say
It's a good hustle. Good, honest
trade
hustle
hold would
using the bag.
would come in occasionally and exploit some of the
Oh,
trade
yeah.
offers and
Trade
deals
offers.
Oh yeah.
to make
That's how
a,
he got his name, Trade Hold.
to make a little extra coin. Let's say, yeah.
You know, honestly, that's actually a good point, huh? Like
'Cause
the
most of
fact
us-
that my name is Trade Hold.
Yeah.
Technically, that's not what Trade Hold means,
But it's
What's
something
the-
trade
it is.
related.
It is something trade related. that does match what I.
Because
That
usually
seems
those
to be
deals come
Trade Hold's
around
hustle
like
right now.
yeah, right. So usually those deals come around like the holiday season, right? Did you do anything in any of that this year?
Mhm.
Like during the holiday season, like
Well, actually, no. There wasn't during the holiday season
No.
because they used to be like every 3 months. Now they're close to like once every 6 months now.
okay.
Hmm.
But yeah, they have the trade boost because our state
Yeah.
does the 50% boost, and whereas the other states they do the cash for
Cash for
credit.
trade, yeah. Mhm.
And so our state can't do that, so we get the 50% boost instead.
Oh.
So I take advantage of that.
As much
And,
as you can.
because I'm still an elite pro. So
Right.
on top of the 50%, I also get an additional 20%.
Damn.
so-
Yeah, so it was like yeah,
That's a hustle for sure.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
right.
So I save up certain items. I'm not gonna go into what, but I save up certain items.
So
And
that
just
when,
wait.
when you know that
Yep.
the trade boost is coming
I
over.
go-
you just
I
start-
go in full
Pile
force.
it all in, yeah.
Go in full force. Yeah.
You come in
I was
with
on
your
the receiving
army.
end of that a few times. Like I was like, "You sly dog, you," yeah, like, and you know to come in when I was working. So
Yeah,
I'd be like,
yeah,
you know,
mhm.
I don't mind. You know, I'm just like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm gonna
Know
help
your,
you out.
know
Like
your faves.
it's not shady in the system. This is just your guys' deal.
Yeah.
Like you know,
Yeah,
like
it's
I'm not
true.
doing anything wrong. It's
Right.
just I'm
And I
sure
think we've,
I'm sure like a stranger like store leader see you and be like,
Oh yeah.
I don't know about this. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. There's a certain rules about that, and it's really just what is it?
Was it the honor system?
Like your own like your own discretion. Technically, you can take it in, and we've talked about before trade ban
Right.
up to a certain amount, or if you trade multiple items of the
Oh, they
or
do,
multiple of the
they
same
do
items.
do that, right?
You do,
Where it's like they cap
Yeah.
you and they basically say you can't trade anything in for like this certain amount of
90
time
days,
now. Like,
yeah.
But they
90
don't
days.
tell you until you
But they
come
don't
up
tell
and
you.
try, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like a shadow ban a little bit.
Well, at the same time, not every it's one of those things that not every employee knows about. Like they
Yeah.
don't know what a trade ban is.
Right.
I've encountered a lot of employees that they don't know what a trade
they
ban
don't know
is.
what it is.
And so like when you tell them, it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna get trade ban. I know that. And they're like, what is that? And I'm like, I have to explain this to you.
Yeah,
And it
right,
is.
like-
It's not explained anywhere.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not a widely shared policy
Yeah.
amongst employees or customers. It's,
Yeah,
it's a
right.
very
it's in fine print at the bottom.
clandestine
Well,
policy.
it's
with
a
GameStop.
it's not something. It's not a common issue.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because you have to trade in like multiple of the same items.
It has
Quite a
to
bit,
be
yeah.
multiple of the same items, and then like consistently throughout the day, like the week. So it
Yeah.
has to be like multiple days in a row.
Right.
To where it's like
No, now it's just the same day. Oh
It's
yeah,
like-
you
or
get
even
trade
like
banned like the
in
end of
one
the
day,
day.
huh?
well,
Yeah.
you'd have to trade in like a crap ton of like
Well,
stuff. Because I
it's
remember
it's
there's this,
Well, that's what Trade Hold's doing.
It's I think it's after 5 items.
5 items.
Yeah,
Five
five
items?
5 of the same items. Yes, you
Really?
can get trade banned. Yeah,
Mm.
but the length of
they're
trade
starting
ban,
to, starting to
that's
crack down on
cutting
that.
down.
but the amount of time also depends. But what I do is usually 90.
Because like or like we'd find before, like there was this guy that come in with AV cables, basically like just old school style AV cables
Right.
from like the PlayStation or something like that,
Yeah.
right? And he'd be like, "Oh, I get these for my work." Like they're just throwing them out. And,
Yeah.
like, I realized that
Get
you
that all
guys
the time.
like trade, so I figure I just get a few bucks off them, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just like, okay, no. He's like, no, they're legit. Like it would say PlayStation on them and everything too. I'm like, I'm not gonna ask where they get this stuff, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and then pretty much, he would trade him in, 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 trade him in.
Yep.
And then at some point one day, finally, like he walks up. I already know who he is. Like we're just like, oh, same thing. Yeah, let's do it. So we go through trade, and it says, like, dude, I think you've been like trade blocked. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, it says right here, like, this individual is no longer allowed to, like, trade in for a certain amount of time or for, like, undisclosed time. If they have questions, contact this.
Right.
Right? And I'm
yeah.
just like, well, damn, and he got hella bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, wow, like, I have all these cables. Like, you're telling me that you're not going to take them? Like, he thought I was, like,
Yeah,
capping
you
him,
were
like,
the one.
I was being like, no, I can't take this right now. But I was
Right.
like, dude, no, the machine will not let me. Like, the only way you're going to get your money is if you just give it to me and we do, like, I just open the register and hand you money, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know, he's getting super, super mad.
Yeah.
And we found out that if he trades them all in, like, let's say he has to break them up.
Right.
So, like, he'll trade in, like, 2 or 3, like, let's say
at a time.
At the time, like, it was maybe about, like, 5 or 6, 7, you know, one day. Then he would come in, like, not the next day, but maybe, like, the other day, and he would try,
Yeah.
like, 5 or 6 or 7
More.
And then that's when we realize that there's, just as long as he's not doing it consecutively.
Right.
Like, because he was coming in every day. Like, he would do it some one day,
yeah.
next day he'll come in and do one
So
day.
he needs
and
to
then he'd
learn.
come
He
in,
needs to
yeah.
learn to
He
save
didn't-
for one
he-
event.
He didn't.
Yeah,
learn.
exactly.
He didn't learn.
No, there we go. He doesn't know
Didn't learn.
the
He's-
pro
he's
tips.
an amateur. That's an amateur trading to me.
Yeah,
That's what that is.
I'm like, Trade Hold needs to coach this guy.
Trade Hold's running classes every Mondays and Fridays around how to trade.
If you're really trying to make some big bucks, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to out hustle.
So he was angry, but did he still continue to like trade in? Like,
Oh no, of course.
did he eventually like realize that wasn't you? That was his
you
system?
know me. I was always one of those people that like,
Yeah.
I could get to that level with the people, like all my customers and stuff. You know,
Yeah,
like they would
yeah.
they would give us a hard time if they realize like, hey, it's not Distro's fault.
Right, exactly.
You know, I even told them just like, hey man, like you can try going somewhere else. Like you
Yeah.
don't have to trade these in here. Like,
Have you ever? But you've had those people who have blamed you specifically.
specifically,
for things.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
tell,
yeah.
Tell us about one of those. Those
You
are
can't
fun.
you can't avoid that.
oh man,
We've all had that.
yeah, right. It's like,
Tell us about one of those. Those are fun stories. When
Like-
someone's about to ready to kill you with a machete. No offense to those out there who are listening.
right,
From
like,
that store who was robbed with a machete this past week or a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
man.
I hope,
I got
everyone,
it. I
hope
got it.
everyone's safe from that. If you're listening to the show, machetes are no joke. And if someone's walking into your store with one, it's very scary.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
basically
can,
holding an exotic weapon. Like,
I can tell you, I was in a store that got robbed with 3 people with guns. So this was a few years back. But I
No
don't know if you
joke,
want to
man.
wait till Distro tells his story.
Yeah,
or
tell
what.
Just
tell
like-
the story, Distro.
I don't even know what story you guys are asking for, but I'll tell some story. No, I'm just kidding. Like, I remember like one time there was a little nicest kid in the world came up, was trading in a bunch of games, right? Like comes up like with it's like kind of like I think it's grandpa. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I hate to offend the gentleman now if he's listening. Like, yes, you did appear to be elderly.
Older,
Yeah, of older age.
Of older age.
You know, yeah. But basically, he comes up.
You would have passed the legal ID looking
Yeah, right.
age.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Let's just say I wouldn't have carded him. Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
much, yeah, like, so pretty much, yeah, this guy comes up, you know, is like this kid, you know, dude's just walking around the store,
Yeah.
helping the kid out. Kid's super nice. I'm pretty sure you've been in situations where, like, kid's super awesome.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
But then
yeah,
the parent tends to be, you know, like, the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're there, you know, like, helping the kid out. He's like, oh, this and this and that. And I was explaining to him, too, as well as, like, hey, do you know, like, if you guys have a valid, like, you know, identification?
Right.
Because, you know, because of our trade policy, you have to have
Yeah.
valid ID,
We
you
need an
know, or,
ID.
like,
Yeah.
passport, anything of that sort, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, oh, no, I'm sure it'll be okay. I was like, well, do you want to go check real quick with your guardian, you know, your parent? Because, like, you know, he was trading a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, no, for sure. Because we've all been there. You had the whole stack already
Oh,
scanned
yeah.
in, and then that one little thing is
That
like, all
one
right,
little
nope.
thing. Yeah.
Take it back.
Give it all back.
Yeah, right, yeah. Give it all back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much, yeah, there, I tell him, like, the basically the total amount. And he's just like, okay, like to him, it's like a lot of money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Well, you know, like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, I hate to break it to him, it's not that much. But then, like, pretty much goes and gets, like, you know, what I believe to be his grandpa. Dude comes up. He's this older Hispanic gentleman, like.
Yeah, you can kind of see where it's going with
what
it.
I
What
believe
appears to be his grandpa.
Yeah, what I believe to be his grandpa. Yeah, it's like older Hispanic gentleman. Like, he had tattoos on his neck up to his face. He had like the freaking braid, like the cholo braid.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, like he was wearing like, you know, he looked like he was old school, like, you know, maybe like looked like he may have thrown down a little bit in his days. You know what I mean? Yeah, like
in his prime days.
The only thing he was missing were the lokes, you know, like the sunglasses, you know, like But then he comes up and he's just like looks at it, and you can already tell he's like pissed off about the trade price.
Yeah,
you know, he's just like. Then he looks at me and he's just like, are you serious? Like, this is BS, going through the usual thing, man. Like, basically, like, you know, telling me, like, hey, like, this stuff, like, this, and that, like, it's gonna be, like, fine. He's just like, fine, it, I'll take this, you know? I'll take the money. Oh. And at that point, I was just like, okay, well, now, I need your ID. Right?
I need more from you now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right? Yeah, no, like, he's just like, I can't give you my ID. And I was just like, well, I'm sorry, like, but it is policy. Do you have something, like, maybe a passport or something like that?
Something I can
and he's just like, he comes up to me, like, on the counter, like, kind of, like, really close, you know, leans up.
Yeah.
And he was just like, there's a warrant out for my arrest. I'm a convict. I can't give you my identification.
Oh, man.
And I was just like, whoa. like, damn, dude. Like, for sure, you know?
Yeah.
And he was just like, he's like, so you got to do what you got to do your business, and give me my money before we start having problems. And I was just like, well, like, now you're trying to strong arm me for like trade.
I
like,
mean,
this
is
is
like low key robbery
honestly,
at this
yeah,
minute.
Honestly, you're like, well, it's policy, so you said you got to do what you got to do. I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah.
And I need to enter this into the system. So if you're not going to give me ID and give me problems that weren't for your arrest, I can call right now for that.
Yeah, no, he's just like, he started saying it's like, you're giving my boy problems and stuff like that. And the little kid's just standing there like, oh crap, like what's going on, you know?
What's going on, yeah.
Yeah, and I was only just like, no, he's like, even told me, he's like, everything was going good until I told you that I can give you my ID, why not? Like, you know, are you trying to, like, he's like trying to make it personal, like, where it's like, now it's like, because of that, huh?
Yeah.
He's just like, now you're just trying to make up little lies and little rules, you know, just so that I can't get my stuff, right?
Wow, really?
And I'm like, oh man, he's just like, told me, just like, I need your name right now. He's just like, and I was like, damn, he's just like, yeah, he's like, I'll tell you my name so you don't forget it. And you might be seeing me later too. And I'm like, damn. And he like, yeah, basically at the end of the day, he didn't get his money.
Right,
yeah.
right. End of the day, it didn't
The trade
happen.
didn't happen.
Right.
But like, he basically made that like, hey, I'll see you in the parking lot threat. Like, I'm a
exactly.
convict, stuff like that. And I was just like,
Jeez.
fuck. Like, I ain't trying to like go out there and then like, I got like his younger like nephews out there, you
He's
know,
just
like
waiting for you, man.
or he's like, you know, see my car or something, you know, like anything of that
Exactly.
nature. I'm just
Anything
like
that.
So I called my LP manager, you know, like called him up and I was just like, hey, I'm sure it's nothing.
Yeah.
But just to bring it to your attention, if I get my ass beat tonight, like it was probably this dude, yeah, you know, that came into my store.
Oh,
you know,
man.
yeah, like just letting you know.
Jeez.
Yeah, like, and I was
Man.
just like, yeah, it was one of those times like where I'm just like, dude, like,
Is this worth it?
yeah, is this like all I asked for was like an ID? I was trying to give you like this GameStop trade turned into like we're about to square up or something.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah.
oh man,
Wow.
yeah,
What a story. I mean, that may be familiar to a lot of you out there.
Yeah.
Who work at GameStop or have worked at GameStop. It's a tough hustle sometimes, man. You get
It's
some
not even like
demands.
your fault, you know.
You get some folks out there, you know, who are less understanding than others. But you know, you stay strong. You call LP.
yeah, right.
And you know, make sure that you're covered just in case you get your ass beat when you leave the store.
Yeah, and that's why I was calling him, just like letting him know, yeah, like, hey, in case you have to do camera review or in case you get a call that, you know, there's a fight happening outside of your store, like,
Yeah.
I'm letting you know it's most likely this dude right here, you know? The guy that just walked out of the store, you know, yeah.
Who said he was coming
Mark
back?
mark this time that I called you,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you know within the few minutes before this time.
Yeah, just to cover myself, you know. Like I told him, like he even told me, he's like, yeah, I'm sure it's nothing as well. Like some people are just talking. You know, I was like, yeah, but like just in case.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
never know.
Sounds
Yeah.
pretty intimidating when there's a warrant out for your arrest and you're next convict. You know, that's
Yeah, right.
And,
I'm
you're,
like,
and you're
I don't-
using that
I
to
don't- yeah, to try to, you know. And I'm like, my thing too is I don't know who he's affiliated with. Maybe it won't be him or like, you know. you
yeah,
never
it might
know
not
what
be
people are
him,
like.
but people representing him.
Yeah, you know, yeah, his posse, you know. Yeah.
his crew roll up deep.
Oh, man.
That's yeah.
when it gets real at GameStop, right?
That's for a different podcast called
Yeah, it
Getting
is.
Real at GameStop.
Yeah, getting rid of GameStop. Yeah.
See, I can only imagine being there when it was getting robbed, though. Like, yeah, we'll move on to your story, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Like, oof.
I mean, I was actually there. I was shopping. I may have traded stuff in. I don't remember. It's been a good probably more than 5 years. Definitely more than 5 years ago. But there was like 5 people in the store, including like the employees.
Yeah.
It was nighttime. It was close to closing. I hear someone, they go through the door, and they go, "Everyone get on the ground." And to me, it sounds like it's a fake voice. And it technically is, right? They're trying to...
You think it's a trailer on the TV?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, like, I thought it was a joke.
Wow.
And I see some people getting down and stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm still standing. Like, I'm over here, like, thinking it's a joke. But the thing
Still
is...
shopping.
The thing is, there's a gondola from the counter, because I was at the counter, to the front door. Like, there's a gondola, so I can't see
you
anybody.
couldn't see clearly, yeah.
And then I see...
The gondola obstructed your view. You're hiding behind cover.
Yeah, technically, right?
Hiding behind
and
cover.
I see 2 guys, they come in with the handguns.
Yeah.
And a bandana covering their face. And, to me, I'm still thinking it's a joke. Like,
Wow.
and then the third guy comes in. Like, I see the third guy. Like, as he passes through the gondola to the counter.
Yeah.
And he's holding a shotgun. And I'm
Oh,
like,
okay.
no.
Wow.
I'm like, this is... I
This
don't
isn't
care
a
if this
joke
is...
anymore.
Like, even
Even
whether
if
this
it
is
is
a
a
joke
joke,
or
I'm
not,
playing
I'm not
along.
messing with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to aim for that. Like,
Right? Yeah. You know what's funny? I was about to make that joke right now, where you're just like, yeah, 2 guys come in with a handgun. I was be like, yeah, and the next guy comes in with a shotgun, right? And then you're like, yeah, and the next
No
guy
shirt
comes
up.
in,
With a
shotgun. I was like, oh
shotgun.
damn. Yeah.
so I was like, nope, I'm down on the ground, man.
I'm with you, man. As soon as the shotty comes out,
Oh,
you
yeah.
drop.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
They mean business.
Yeah. No, it was crazy though, because they were like, they tried to get everyone's ID. They went around. They're like, yo, give me your ID, right? And so I pulled out my wallet, and then he goes, F you, and then he grabs my wallet too.
Whoa.
Like, just grabs my whole wallet. And I think
Yeah.
I'm the only person where he grabs the whole wallet. There's no money in there. But
Yeah, right? Yeah,
I'm like, all right,
this
you
guy's
know.
stacked.
Yeah.
I'm taking his wallet.
And, like it was crazy because they,
Wow.
they're like, give me your money, and the guy behind the counter is like this is, was it 10
Yeah.
10 minute delays, 10 minute
time
delays,
lock,
nothing I
yeah.
can do about it. And so they
Yeah.
start grabbing like games. At the time, I know it was a Call of Duty game that just came out.
Oh.
Like, so they start grabbing games from like the back wall.
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah,
took
off their
off.
displays.
How
and
long
stuff
the whole
regularly.
thing take, do you think? Like, from when they
Few
got there?
minutes.
Really?
Few
It was
minutes.
quick, huh?
Yeah,
How
it
many
was quick.
casualties?
It was in and out.
Huh?
I'm just
No. Yeah, no,
Just
I'm
a
not-
wallet. And a lot of
Just the
ideas.
Yeah,
wallet.
just wallet and IDs. Man, that
And
sucked for
COD,
me
COD,
though.
yeah.
Because
Like,
I had to,
Wow.
had to get like with no identification and stuff. I had to get like a new social security and all that stuff. too.
Everything, huh?
Yeah.
You had
Everything
to
on
go
there.
through everything
Yeah.
again.
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah.
What was the store like when they left? Was everyone like shaken and?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everyone's just like,
Oh, yeah.
fuck, we gotta get out.
I
of here.
mean, it's one thing to be pointing a handgun at you, but when you got the shotgun, like the guy who took my wallet had
Was
the
the
shotgun.
shotgun?
Yeah.
Oh, man, okay.
He, like when
Yeah,
I tried not to face him, and I'm trying to, get my wallet out.
Yeah.
I'm reaching
But-
for my wallet.
But
Yeah.
he is
Like-
right next to me,
Yeah, right.
He's
holding
got
it
it
down, so you
pointed
can
at
see
you.
it. So I can see it on my peripheral vision.
Jeez.
And so like when he takes my wallet, obviously my eye automatically.
you see it and
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, damn,
because
he's got this gun at me.
he just swiped the wallet from my hand, you
Yeah.
know. So no,
Wow.
that was good times.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that was good times.
They
of course, the mini boss is the one that you encountered.
Yeah, the
You
mini
know?
boss.
So you
exactly.
had level 2 grunts,
Level-
and you got the,
I know, right?
you got the level 5.
Level 2 grunts.
and then we end up they caught somebody, and we got subpoenaed for it. But I think ultimately nothing happened because
Yeah.
it's like we can't,
Right.
They're like, did you see this person?
Like we
this
saw them
it's like,
there, but we
don't-
couldn't recognize.
And yeah, I had to say that. I'm like, just like, well, yeah, I mean, I saw someone, but I couldn't see their face because it was covered.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that whole thing wasn't fun either because
Mhm.
we had to pay for parking and they didn't reimburse us on that.
Oh,
they
that's
pay
messed
you
up.
very little.
Yeah,
for
to
going
actually
in,
go
yeah.
in and
So yeah, even our parking wasn't reimbursed by like what they gave us. So I'm like, that's fun.
Screwed over twice. Look
Yep.
at that.
We got subpoenaed more than once too.
Really? You
Mhm.
guys
Because
had to keep going back.
the thing is, the first time we got subpoenaed, I don't think they even brought us in. Something
Oh,
happened,
really?
and so it's like, oh, you can go home. We're gonna have to bring you in another time.
Yeah. You're like, well, I just paid for parking.
Yep.
Yeah, right?
So it was like 2 or 3 times I think we were subpoenaed
Really?
until we actually had to like get on the stand and stuff.
Wow.
Good times, yeah.
That is just
There we go.
the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Yeah,
I
right.
know, right?
we go GameStop. Thank you. It's not their fault they get robbed. But
Yeah,
it's just
no,
us
yeah.
bashing on them.
And that's why GameStop revenues are down.
Yeah, right. And that's why you're losing our. That's why you're losing our business.
So yeah, well,
It's not
let's
the bag; it's the robberies.
let's go into that topic where GameStop is headed. we didn't really get to talk about it because it happened during our little blackout period. But there was that whole announcement with 200 stores closing down.
Yeah.
And people were thinking like GameStop's gonna die this year. Like they were thinking GameStop was gonna die last year when they made the announcement. It was like in a year already.
I feel like people have been predicting death of GameStop.
Oh,
I've been hearing
years
death
now.
of GameStop for years. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like to them the 200 stores closing down is like proof.
Right.
Which.
Because before there was word, but no actual closings, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No actual closings.
Here and there, but.
Yeah.
But 200 stores for GameStop is not a lot.
The big layoffs with all the
I mean it sucks for the layoffs.
Yeah.
For the people that lose their jobs, but 200 stores compared to how many stores GameStop has across the nation.
Like stores even have in Texas alone.
Right. And so it kind of like brings up the idea that maybe they just need to cut,
it's
the amount of stores, like maybe that, and turn into more of a boutique. Game store.
Something a little more niche.
Yeah, something a little bit more niche.
Well,
maybe
it's
a few brick and mortar, big digital presence.
I think the proper way of saying is restructuring. Restructuring, and that's. I mean, a lot of people are. Like they say, they predict the doom and gloom.
Right.
For GameStop, and they're saying it's definitely this year they're all going down.
Yeah.
Because the 200 stores closing, but that doesn't.
I feel like the time for GameStop to have gone down is when they were looking for a buyer.
Yeah.
Right. And they had no CEO. And they were basically like, they were captainless. I feel like at that point they would have probably mercy killed it. Like,
that would have been scary. Or it would have been sold.
That would have been the time, or it would have been sold. Yeah. And then that's when I would have been like, oh, now GameStop.
Yeah.
Now it's different.
It's down,
The fact that they turned down the offers and they're like, they were too low is saying that they actually are like, well, I think we can survive if we change things around. And do they actually have a new CEO though?
They had that temporary dude. I forget what his name was, but he was a former Microsoft executive.
Yeah, I think he might still be there now.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't remember whether because it was so many news about stepping down after 9 days.
Yeah, right. There was that guy, and then they basically got a CEO, but he was more so like an interim,
right?
Where they call it like he's just in that
interim.
He's has that spot. While they find an official CEO,
temporary.
Right. I think he's still in charge. I believe. But I think on their end too, they probably just thought if we can just make it to 2020, because the new consoles are out this year. They're the new consoles are going to keep them around.
Well, there's actually news about that too, because their console sales are dropped quite a bit, like 40% or something like that.
They did. They have.
But and then in the past, I guess there's always console drops, like
it's sort of like checkpoints every now and then. A console drop happens, it buys GameStop a few more years. So.
But the thing,
it's like their wellspring right there. Yeah,
exactly.
As long as we can make it to PS5, we're good, boys.
It's their health mana refresh before they jump into the new dungeon. So.
But I think the main story was that the drops were a lot more. This year, considering, and if you consider how much the PS4 has been selling, and that GameStop's hardware sales are still low compared to all the previous generations before the refresh.
Too, like I'd feel comfortable even saying that this was a good year for games too.
Oh, it was.
Like it was a really good year for games, so they can't complain about like let's say like that one year when the consoles first came out and there was nothing out, it was dry.
Yeah,
that was a really like 2013. It was like 2012, 2013. Like
two bad console launches that year in terms of game lineup.
Yeah, game lineups
didn't help
so.
them.
So I can see how that would affect them. But this year, like they have no excuse.
This year, no excuse. And both
coming out.
I think both consoles are committed to backwards compatibility now, so that's going to drive even more sales even leading up to consoles.
Yeah, we'll hit up more on the game stuff, but I'm just saying this for the listeners. We'll hit up more on the game stuff in another episode.
Yeah, right.
But because there's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot there,
right? Yeah, especially with like console sales and stuff.
I think they did say that PS5 is definitely going to be PS4 and PSVR backwards compatible.
Yeah,
but
that's a big one too. The VR is still doing really well.
There's a huge rumor that's been going on for months now. Way back when they announced the PS4 backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
I actually heard it from a friend who heard it from a Sony employee.
Yeah.
That it was going to be backwards compatible with PS1 all the way to PS4.
Wow. All generations.
Yeah, and then at the time I only heard it from that employee.
Yeah.
But now it's gaining like traction in that rumor because apparently some other
people are
person
talking
had
about
leaked it online or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
So and I think it's a different source too on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on.
It's like very, very interesting.
Yeah.
That's right. The consoles do invigorate them.
They do. Yeah, I think that. That's
but yeah, the big news is that it's dropped more since.
It has. Revenues have dropped consistently every quarter. every
drop more
earnings
than
call.
the last time they had the console
Right.
refresh.
And I think stock is continuing to drop too. I think last I checked, beginning of the year, I think it was $5 or something like that a share.
My friend,
it's just
like actually one of my coworkers. He's a big stock guy. Like he looks at it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, he knows where everything is. And like I always ask him, just like almost kind of like just like, hey, how's GameStop stock doing? He just laughs. Yeah, he's just like, is that even a question, man? Like,
yeah,
it hasn't gotten better. I'll tell you that.
It's getting hammered, and it's continuing to get hammered. But again, like, it's gonna be a big year. I think the CFO or whoever runs the calls for earnings every quarter. In the last one, I mean, it's whoever runs these calls, I feel bad for, because it's continuously bad news in those calls to give their investors.
Yeah, exactly.
I would hate to be in a position to have to give bad news each and every quarter to my board and to the investors and just interested parties around a continual loss of revenue, of profits, and of share price every single call. But the last one, just like we're talking about, even he is pointing to the 2020 year of console launches and game launches and that sort of thing.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I think 2020 should, by the end of it, be a little bit different, hopefully, for the company.
I mean, it's probably strong enough to keep them going for a few years regardless.
Yeah.
Like for a company like them to die, take a few years for sure.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like everyone's saying, they'll die at the end of this year, and I'm like, no, 200 stores is not enough. It's really just more restructuring, less money to spend on some of these stores, and on top of that, like you were saying, Distro, if they were really desperate for money, then their downfall would have been they sold off the company, and that's when you're like, oh, it's dead. But I think at that point, it was like, no, we're not that bad.
Right. We
can still save the company. So I think the 200 store closure is more of just like moving money around.
Cutting fat off or what?
Deal of the day. They've done the new deal of the day stuff. They introduced the new did the new pro membership thing take off yet? With the $5 gift certificate per month instead of the 10% off?
I think that is going on now, isn't it?
I'm not too sure.
I thought it was, but I could be mistaken. I thought they started it at the beginning of the year.
I feel like some places have started already. I'm not too sure whether it's completely nationwide.
Before it was beta form, but I'm not sure if they've implemented it everywhere.
I don't know yet either.
But
I mean, what do you like? So, like, talking about it from an outsider perspective, obviously it looks the way it does. But thinking about it from an insider perspective, like, if you were working there right now and you saw this bad news, for the company that you work for, like, I don't know, like, would that scare you guys as, like, an employee there? Like, as obviously as a store leader, you're probably thinking about that differently than, like, a seasonal who probably doesn't think of it at all, you know? But, like, what would be your perspective if you were working there now and your company's going on like 4 quarters or whatever it is of continual losses,
Yeah, right. And I was like, you can't do too much. Like, especially with me there. Like, you had those moments where you sit in your store and you're like, wow, this company is really not doing that well.
Right.
Or even when you look at, like, let's say profit and loss, or you're looking at your contributions and all these different things, you realize, like, we're not even making a dent, like, to help this company. Like, even if you think you're doing really good, like, you think you're kicking ass, you could be doing good for your store. But then when you're, like you say, when you're looking at it as, like, a whole, like, you realize, like, oh, yeah, this was why this store, like, why this company is having so many struggles.
Yeah.
I don't so much fear for my job, because I know, like, unless we get word of, like, a specific store closure, like, in our district area, then it'd be like, maybe, but it's kind of like, it does drop morale for sure. It kind of almost makes you want to, like, you're still working, you're still trying, you kind of have the mentality of, well, this place is going to close anyway. Like, this isn't going to be here for that long anyway. Like, you're not really working towards, like, let's say, an end goal or, like a long-term deal. You're kind of just there at that time, just trying to make what you can and get out.
I do what I can with this, and then,
You're basically looting the ship, and then, then it's jumping off,
Grabbing some last-minute things before you head off.
Yeah, some stuff, throw it on the resume, and then just, and then hop out of there,
Hop out, But try to make it to the next conference.
Yeah, exactly. For real though, it's like that's probably the big thing is like as long as it doesn't happen before managers conference, like I'm good.
Get all the free stuff.
I just need to be able to make it to con and I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
How would that work though? Because what if they just like cut out all the free stuff? Because they're like, oh, you know what,
dude, I'll know. It's bad if they stop doing the managers conference and stop inviting people and stuff like that.
I mean, that would be a way to cut costs, because that's a really, really big event for a lot of people.
Yeah, like the one year they had it in Vegas, they had had us in like the Venetian, like full like suites.
Dude, that's
like,
crazy.
You know,
that's
like
nuts.
Yeah, like our room, like itself was probably like more than half the size of like where I live now. You know, because there was like a living room.
Yeah,
there was
fireplace.
Like a fireplace. Yeah, you had like the 2-bedroom area. The bathroom was huge.
Yeah.
Like it was like, oh my god.
Yeah,
and you sit there and you think too. You're like, well, like oh man.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely, in a typical business environment, that sort of thing would be one of the first things you cut. So, for any managers out there that are looking forward to conference, if you go, I'm really happy for you. But yeah, that may not be happening soon.
I mean, even if they do, because they usually give away free stuff at conference, right?
Yeah.
So, if you, that might not be something to look forward to anymore. Maybe the travel's still good if they still have to travel.
Right. Yeah.
But that would cut costs if they would.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting perspective when you think about it as someone who works there.
Like as a store manager.
Yeah.
I can't help but think of like if they held another managers conference, which I'm sure they will actually. They're not gonna completely.
Yeah, they won't.
Not like this year, but if they were to cut it down, all I can think about is like Dash Con style or like Fire Festival style.
Fire Fest.
It's like what are all these tents? Like,
you told us you're staying in the Venetian. We're staying in the damn Venetian, man.
Oh man.
Down the street, like 2 miles off the strip. What is this?
Yeah, right. Not even a B&B.
Yeah, exactly.
But I definitely think it's gonna be for a few years. With a lot of people that are predicting this, I don't think they understand what would happen if GameStop like cold turkey just shut down altogether, because everyone right now they're like, we have other options.
Right.
Here's the thing though, everyone has their preconceptions with all these other retailers. Best Buy generally is considered too expensive.
Yeah.
And they're not. They have some sales now every now and then, but a lot of people still has that notion, just like they do with GameStop. Like they don't look at deals anymore. They don't know these deals about GameStop because they won't walk into one, because they still have that negative impression.
Right.
And then so right now it's like they have Amazon, and what else is there? Amazon. Yeah, like right? Amazon. It's mainly Amazon.
Yeah.
Like there are other options out there, like here and there, but it's mainly Amazon. And I will touch about this, like a whole segment about it in another episode. But like I was gonna talk about. I don't want to get too much into politics. Because I hate the subject. Sorry, guys. I'm going to try to limit this as much as possible.
I'm gonna let you finish
to the details. Now, there's like, for instance, I hate politics. So I'm just gonna say this really, really shortly, as like, only all the necessary bits. For example, Andrew Yang says that he wants to.
There it is. I'm sorry.
So let's First of all, I don't think he's going to win, but his main thing is make America think again, or think harder. Sorry, math, and he just wants to get the word out there about this whole monthly thing, people getting $1,000 a month, and the reason how that would work is they would tax the bigger companies that really don't get taxed, including like Amazon, and which. A lot of people are focusing on how that would affect the economy. In my opinion, though, the main thing with that is a lot of people are dependent on Amazon. But the thing about the reason how Amazon avoids paying taxes is because the money they get from tax season goes back into reinvesting into the business. And I think the part of that is through how they still do those 2-day Prime deliveries and all that stuff.
Right.
So if they were to pass some kind of bill to go around that to tax Amazon and get all these people their $1,000 a month, and even I don't think Andrew Yang's gonna win, but he's trying to get the word out there. So if someone else tries to do it, this could still happen, right? So I don't think people understand if this happens, and if Amazon gets all this tax stuff, they might not do this 1-2 day delivery stuff anymore.
Right.
And that is gonna be a big hit on Amazon.
Right.
And even though we can survive this if it happens, because we've gone without Amazon for years, it's going to be a big like shift in how people live. And let's say GameStop shuts down and go, we have Amazon, and then suddenly Amazon has to change because of this.
Yeah, it's like
yep.
Yeah.
Suddenly
it's
we're not so reliant on Amazon.
Away from someone than it
exactly.
Is to give
Suddenly we're not
new.
so reliant on Amazon.
Yeah. So what you're saying is Yang 2020?
yeah, totally. Yang 2020. I'm kidding. I'll be hey, I am Asian, and I would like the $1,000 extra a month, but
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Politics Corner with Trade Hold.
Hey! I tried to. Well, I'm not trying to shift down onto a whole conversation. All right, we're not talking about that. We're just saying how that would affect gaming and Amazon, and not the whole nation. And
yeah, this is what we used to talk about when we closed the stores. We just used to kind of shoot the shit, talk about everything like this.
Yeah,
right.
That's why we're called closing staff.
Exactly. Totally. Anyways, off that political
I'm glad
subject
Yang
there.
made it on the pod. you were able to successfully hype his campaign. Talk about everything
Amazon
he's about while still connecting it to GameStop.
Yeah. How many other pods out there connect GameStop with Andrew Yang? We'll take the achievement for that. Thank you very much.
Yang for press, right?
Anyways.
That's great. Great. Sense. Thanks, Trade Hold. You left us in a really difficult place where we don't know where to segue.
No, I can segue this. It's a good point though. Having the whole idea of GameStop having this perceived kind of I don't want to go into the store. Yeah. I don't want to go here. Mm-hmm. How is the store going forward into 2020 going to not necessarily rebrand itself, but change its image to the people? Because I can tell you, I'll have my friends that I talked about GameStop laugh. They're like, I don't shop there. Right. But like you said too, is there could be that good deal that they're missing out on just for the sake of it.
Actually happens fairly often.
About it,
I'm part of the different gaming groups.
Yeah.
And they're like. We sometimes will post deals like, hey, GameStop's having this deal. It's a really good deal. Mm-hmm. The PS4 controls will sometimes go for $25. Those are $60 normally, right?
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, they don't follow it because they don't want to step foot into GameStop. And they have an actual policy where they're just they have their own personal policy. Never shop at GameStop.
Right, right.
So they don't know.
So stuff like that.
And sometimes it's really sad because GameStop is doing a lot better with some of their deals.
Right.
And people just ignore it because they don't want to do it. They don't want anything to do with GameStop.
Yeah.
How does GameStop change that?
Well, that's kind of I think the question that GameStop corporate will have to figure out is because for the longest time we were on a really nice path of store experience improvements. We put more employees on staff, or we now have a trade center. We now have stores of the future that are trying different things to drive foot traffic through the doors. But what we're seeing in this increasingly digital age is companies are actually just foregoing brick and mortar and moving completely to online space. Mm-hmm. We just saw a really big one with Bose, shutting down 150, 200 stores. There are no longer going to be Bose stores in the U.S. Oh. They're moving completely to an online shopping experience. So you look at a premium, obviously Bose is a premium luxury type brand, but you look at that example and you kind of ask, well, what are some other brands that might actually start doing that too? GameStop is kind of one of those candidates for doing something like that. Is it worth it to actually uphold brick and mortar stores? To them, obviously not if they're closing 200 stores recently. Do more closures happen and they just move to a completely online space? Or, because that's clearly something that is, going to be tried by a lot of companies. So, considering Amazon, Walmart, Target, and then up and coming upstarts like Wish and stuff like that, overhauling the shopping experience, it could be a viable option depending on, how much impact those new consoles have, how much impact new releases have this year.
And then we can go into a whole different subject about how games might be going completely digital.
Yeah, right. As you say, just completely change the actual shopping experience in itself.
Yeah.
As opposed to let's say changing their image or their the general perception, Right. I think step one is just kind of reinventing the wheel.
Maybe
kind of going back and just cleaning house and not necessarily changing everything, but like I said, just making it like that focus, you know, like this is what we're about now, right?
Right, exactly.
But even with like working there, there's like pushing digital, like the web in store stuff. Like
Web
they
in
were
store
definitely, you
and-
could see them trying to push that, but it was never as successful as they maybe wanted.
As they wanted it to be.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, because at its like core experience, going into GameStop, the thing you did that for is because of the people who work there. You know, it was because of the attention and the expertise that you were getting in the shopping experience. That's the reason why people came into our store versus Target versus Best Buy versus Toys R Us. It's because we gave them that attention. We were smaller. We didn't have as many resources or employees on staff, but we made do with what we had. You know, so it's just like going into 2020 and beyond. Like, what is that worth now? You know, like apparently that's not enough anymore, and it was enough for us back in the day when we worked there.
See, but even like with like time back into my holiday experience, you know, I find that stores aren't even really doing what we were doing
Focused on that
anymore.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's all metrics driven because they're in that, they feel like they're on, like I said, a sinking ship.
Right.
Yeah.
So they feel like they have to hit these things. But before, we were more focused on, like I said, the store experience.
Yeah, and that I mean that's kind of the sad thing to think about is we did that back then because we knew that was the only thing that set us apart from these people going to another store. So when we had people coming to our store, we were excited because we had so much competition in our damn shopping center that for them to choose us was awesome. And for them, and then when we saw them return was even better because then we obviously had an effect on them that had them coming back to us. But it just doesn't seem like there's pride in that anymore. When I walk into a GameStop and I'm treated like shit, you know, or I'm just not paid attention to, it's like, well, yeah, I might as well just go to Target. They're having a sale that you guys aren't having, so I'm going to go take advantage of that. We had people choosing us, even though those other stores had sales.
Yeah.
Would still come into our store and
people would be
shop
like, oh yeah, Target does have that sweet deal, huh? Like, oh man.
Because it was one of those like support these guys because I know these guys.
Right, exactly. It's like it's like that community thing, which I know we talked about in another episode. But yeah, it's like it's a little sad to think about corporate undermining a store's ability and desire to want to hold on to that experience because they're driving metrics so hard. I mean, I wouldn't want to carry on a conversation with the customer to possibly get them to reserve something that they maybe didn't think about or didn't have a lot of info on because I'm thinking of metrics in my head all day, so it's kind of a little counterintuitive from the corporate angle, so it's kind of a sad story to think about.
It's a sad thing to think about too, for sure, because I even said, like, there's a lot of things that we were trying to do that they wouldn't let us do specifically that we felt would benefit the stores, the growth, and actual, like say tournaments, or even promoting, like, let's say local events for like games and stuff like that, or even having like a simple flyer where it's just like, hey, we showed them some love, they're going to come over and they're going to support our store. But even then too, like with GameStop, I realized like they focused too much on the wrong things. Right. Like when streaming, like all of a sudden took off. Like streaming before was a thing. People used to stream games, but you remember, like out of nowhere, it just became kind of like this. Like now everyone's freaking streaming.
Yeah.
It's like jumping on board and, let's say, like inviting streamers into stores, or like having a station set up where it's just like
where they can stream
live in store or something. It's just like, hey,
why not do that?
Or you go over and then it's like, oh, your son's interested in doing this? Like, well, this is what the setup is. This is what this looks like. How about we sell this in store?
We even have like a price tag on each one of the things that streamer is using. So if someone wanted to build their own setup, like, damn, we sell the mic, we sell the
next thing
software,
those people are like, where'd you learn to do all this stuff? Oh, I learned it at GameStop.
Yeah, they were hosting a tutorial, or they were hosting a session,
Yeah, and then, like, let's say, like, those, like, now, like, these freaking streamers are making bad amounts of money. Like, imagine jumping on board with, like, let's say, like, running, like, Shroud or Ninja or something like that when they were still ground level.
Yeah.
And they were getting the love from, let's say, GameStop and stuff like that. Right. So, now, if they were really big, they could have, like, let's say, GameStop-sponsored stuff, their names out there, but I bet you more than half of these streamers, if not all the streamers, are thinking GameStop's trash.
Exactly.
Instead of, like, being able to kind of incorporate your way into, like, let's say, the esports scene now, too.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, you remember how the esports was, like, it was a thing, but now it's, like, it's
a huge thing now.
It's huge.
Especially
it's just
with
like,
the Overwatch League and all that.
Overwatch League,
my thing is, like, why do we, like,
and
have actual, like, let's say, Overwatch tournaments in store, or, like, have things like that in store, where it's, like, people come through and it drives business. Yeah, sure, you're using up that space in store for that one day or anything like that, but if it's properly executed, like, you generate hype, and not just for the gaming, but like you're being part of a community that's going to grow to be super big.
Right.
And that's where gaming is right now. It's all streaming.
It's esports,
online,
esports.
That's the thing is, GameStop is doing it in the most convenient way possible, and that's why they have the new way of the GameStop TV.
GameStop TV.
So they have the streamers on the little TV
Yeah,
and stuff, but it's not. There's no engagement. There's no engagement. Yeah, because it's just someone on the TV and most people that walk in
smiling at me, telling me.
Well, Renee's not there anymore.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Renee hasn't been there for a while.
I'm sorry, I kind of threw Renee under the bus.
But
there.
yeah, like that's a good point you bring up, Tradehold. Really good point, because it seems like GameStop, whoever's making the decisions on how to be innovative and keep up with the current GameStop or game, environment culture, they seem to have misunderstood what makes streaming so popular. Yeah, it is a spectator sport for sure, but it's also about bringing in people live, and having those in-person tournaments, the international up north and all that. Like, how many people do those drive live, buying tickets, buying swag, wearing jerseys and
or
all
even
that.
Like Evo and stuff like that.
Evo,
you know what I mean?
And all of those tournaments, like, it seems that they've misunderstood that this is a purely digitally spectator sport, and if you can just tap into your local stores and like you were saying, have those events in person, have a local streamer come by and do a talk or do a demonstration or whatever it might be, like how much further that would get them in that culture. And yet we don't see that happen.
Yeah, and I feel like if they did it now, it just kind of feels like they're jumping on way too late.
Yeah,
they're hopping on the bandwagon.
They could have been one of the people or one of the entities that helped that culture get ahead further, and yet they stood on the sidelines. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because remember back in the day of one of the other managers we knew who was throwing tournaments inside the store, and he would basically winner gets an item and it would be zeroed out in the system, and you'll get called up by LP.
Oh yeah,
I think we've talked about it before, right?
Yeah.
And then they berate him for why'd you zero this out? It's like, I gave it out as a surprise. Well, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I made this much money because I ran this event.
Right. This was a cost.
It's the $60 worth the $2,000 I made.
Right.
And then they were just like, well, just don't do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like they're not moving around the money correctly.
Right.
But again, they have new CEOs and whatever.
They're
restructuring, so maybe they're thinking about something.
Yeah.
But this is just some of the thoughts that they really should put into. Like, they can still technically hold local events, or maybe just something like, let's say they did Overwatch League or something like that. It's like, hey, let's have a local tournament just for the heck of it inside our store, so people can gather inside these one store or two stores that have it around the nation. They can draw more people in, and these people can see the different environment of GameStop. That's something they should be thinking about. But instead, they're doing this GameStop TV, putting streamers on there, promoting stuff, and I think their idea is, these people will walk in like, I know that streamer and she's promoting this and he's promoting that. But that's not what they're doing. Most people don't pay attention to that TV.
Yeah, because it's like, I can go watch that at home.
Yeah.
And then I can get comfortable and sit down for the long term. Like, no one's going into a GameStop to watch streaming on the TV.
You really only do that when you're, like, waiting in line.
Right.
Literally.
And even then, you're just staring at it blankly half the time. So
you might not know what's going on. You might have come in mid-stream, so you have zero clue what's going on. And,
it's mainly still advertising.
Yeah,
because I went into a few GameStops recently.
Yeah,
and that's all it is. Like they advertised, I've played this game and stuff like that. There's no streaming. Like they're not actually streaming, playing themselves playing games.
Yeah, because you imagine like they need to take advantage of the fact that the employees are very passionate. Like especially when I was there.
Yeah,
like like I would go the extra mile for these events. Like these tournaments.
Oh yeah,
totally.
Because I realized the impact they would have. Like especially like you were saying, like you'd see the events and people are like, "F you." Big group of people, raffles.
I remember when I was hired, I was looking forward to running tournaments because the game store I worked at before, I ran all the tournaments.
Yeah, really?
I had to learn games I didn't play to run the tournaments
the tournament.
Nice. Yeah, but could you imagine having like an already set budget from GameStop where they're like, "Hey, guess what? This is your money for your tournament.
Yeah.
This is where you're gonna have it. We already have people coming in and set up the equipment and stuff. Like this is all like GameStop budgeted." And then, like, you sit there and you're like, what? Like, you're telling me that I can, like, make this event my own and I have, like, a budget and stuff like that? Like, we would make those events our bitch.
Yeah, they would.
We would have probably, like... Because most of these events were thrown, like, literally by us. Like,
I mean, we've talked about it in another episode, all the crazy events that you guys...
events.
Not me, because when I started working, they were just like, no more budget for that stuff.
Yeah, right.
Like, imagine
took away what I wanted to do. Like, I would have turned this... Like, I would have just brought the fire with this.
Yeah, imagine it's like, oh yeah, next week it's going to be an Overwatch tournament. We just got word from Blizzard they're going to have like voice actors come to like certain stores around the country or something like that.
That would be
cool. You know what I mean? Where it'd be like, hey, but depending on how much you hype it and stuff like that, like, and this is sponsored by Blizzard and stuff like that,
exactly.
Like, through GameStop, like. It's stuff like that would be like really, really beneficial, but
of
like
course,
I said, it's a money game.
Yeah. I was gonna say when it comes to if it's sponsored by Blizzard, that's gonna be tough because even Blizzard can probably look at GameStop and be like,
we don't want your name on our.
I was gonna say like how many of like these like actual like companies are BFFs with GameStop? Probably Activision.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, like EA.
all the money grabbers.
Right. Yeah, like
all the similarly run companies.
Yes, that company that won't give you my Dead Space remastered collection, even though it should give you so much money. Come on, EA.
The company freaking Mercy killed Visceral.
Yeah. Mercy killed.
Like the like sacrificial lamb. Visceral's the.
You know what's actually pretty interesting that I had a theory about. I don't actually believe it. It was just a theory.
Yeah.
But what if there was this contract that said that said EA would take all the blame, but it's actually Visceral that wanted to give up.
Really?
No. This is my own.
This was your.
It's my own personal theory. Like, what if it wasn't because like EA shut it down? Like, maybe the whole microtransaction idea that like didn't make Dead Space their money was actually from Visceral, but EA from contract took the blame.
I mean, that's kind of the key of everything is even if Visceral did mess up, like EA as the publisher, that's kind of just the blame.
Yeah,
it's like
but
it's like
then,
you do something bad, but your manager is the one.
Exactly.
But at
the same time, like, what if because a lot of people are blaming EA for this, and it's most likely EA's fault because it's EA.
Well, EA gets blamed for all this stuff.
But it's just like they were just saying, oh, this was EA's idea, but what if it was actually Visceral?
But what if it was? And I mean, Visceral being, they're making the game firsthand. Maybe it could be that they weren't turning out a game that was actually up to par. Maybe if that game released, it would have legitimately been crap. Who knows?
I also heard there's a lot of turnover at Visceral due to EA, like essentially kind of almost strong arming their project and coming in on a project.
I mean,
that's why when Dead Space 3 came out, it felt so different. It wasn't the same team.
Because it had the influence of a publisher in there.
I still like Dead Space 3. I like the weapon system. I can see why it makes it a lot less scary. It's actually a really good weapon system.
I hate the game, but I'll agree the weapon system where you can combine weapons and the whole like armor system, like where you can improve, that was fucking dope. But like the actual game itself, at some point I was like, this is a good game, but it's not Dead Space.
Dead Space 2 was way better.
Oh, Dead Space 2 was awesome.
And I don't know what they did to Ellie's face. I'm like, she was way hotter in Dead Space 2. Like, what did you do to this? You took down the character model and you made it like a high school drama on top of this horror story. Come on, guys.
We can bash on Dead Space 3.
But anyways, I was gonna let's get back on topic. But I was gonna say, we talk about how they have a new corporate team and all that, but at the same time, we don't really know. And
it's tough to know. Yeah.
I was gonna say we have dealt with, like, while we were working there, where it just seemed like no one's in charge or too many people are in charge, and they're changing they're changing the system around like every few months.
Right.
And so it's still that same it could still be that same situation when we're talking about whether they're really going down to be honest. Because we said, oh, they made that decision because there's still money around, but maybe they're not that smart.
Yeah, it could be.
A possibility.
The blame goes to the top, but it could very well be that it's not a very well-run company from executives who maybe have been entrenched too long and just don't know how to scale a company past the point where they're successful. So
I do have a friend who he used to work at GameStop and he came from Funkoland. We'll have him on one time. I think I've brought it up before, but this is a topic that he actually wants to talk about too.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it a lot, like when we're just hanging out and stuff. So one of these days I'll bring him in and we'll touch up on this again.
Yeah. Definitely. This is I mean, it's hard to run a business, let alone a corporation like GameStop.
And especially with the image of trying to clean up your image if you have one.
I mean, that's just, I don't envy those who are in charge right now because 2020 is going to be a very important year, a year that a lot of people are paying attention to. But yeah, I mean, as someone who used to work there for a long time, that paid my bills back then, and all of you guys on the show too, Trade Hold, Distro. Same thing for you. I think we're all kind of hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Everyone who's out there listening who works there, we're hoping you guys get to keep your jobs for the foreseeable future. Yeah. So, I mean, I know
a lot of people are trying to, they want GameStop to go down. Yeah. But, I mean, I think that's a bad way to look at it. Just hope for GameStop to make a different kind of comeback.
Right.
Right. I think it's like, even if we do lose GameStop, it's like, at the end of the day, it is still bad for gaming in general.
It is.
Because that's like, we're losing something big right there. Like, memories, culture,
that's a pillar,
opportunities. Man. Like, it's a pillar for sure.
Yeah, and to lose something like that, especially in the way that it probably would go out with all of the bad news, negative press lately, like, that just wouldn't feel good as a gamer, as someone who shops there, someone who worked there, Yes. And then, of course, just thinking about, everyone out there who would be affected by that from a job perspective, Yeah,
because people ask me, it's like, how can you work for GameStop? It's just like, I'm not here for the company, I'm here for the game.
Right,
yeah.
Because, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm a gamer at heart, and I love video games, and as long as I can help somebody else, get that same experience, like we've talked about it, selling Kata's first console,
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing like it. You're just like, I remember that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And then hooking it up, you're like, hey, let me get you as much as I can on there, like, without having to, like, break your wallet.
Yeah.
You're like, let's actually take care of you, and stuff like that, where you're like, it's losing something like that, just because people are being spiteful, and they just don't like the brand. It's kind of like, they're not really getting the, like, everything that's there, for sure.
Not the full experience, I think so, yeah.
All right. Well,
we'll cut this off. But I was going to say I have a conspiracy theory too.
Yes, conspiracy.
I think Paul Raines knew the secret of keeping GameStop alive.
Yeah.
Like, he had, like, this whole master plan in place
he
to
was
where
like
he was
like the Steve Jobs.
Yeah, he was like the Steve Jobs of GameStop, and he was gonna bring the company back like twice as strong because they're gonna restructure all this stuff. Yeah. But then he got murdered.
Someone got in the way.
Someone got in there. Someone got in the way, and because he just bit the dust out of nowhere.
It was very sudden.
Like, it was very
sad,
out of like
very sudden.
R.I.P. Paul.
He got Fox died.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that there's a hidden Paul Raines plan of action in place.
Yeah, he left a national treasure type trail of scavenger hunt of ways to make this company.
It's like
succeed.
the Da Vinci Code,
they're trying to survive long enough until they have that Solid Snake within the company trying to retrieve all this information from the Patriots, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not mocking it. I'm actually just using the reference as a reference so people know what I'm saying.
I like it.
Back in 2011, I met with Kojima in this hotel room in San Francisco. Go and find that hotel room. Underneath the second queen bed in there, I left a map.
You'll see the Circle of Life logo carved into the wood.
That sounds a little more Uncharted, to be honest.
Yeah, that's Uncharted flavor. We need a Nathan Drake out there.
There we go.
Any current GameStop employees, if you have dreams of being Nathan Drake and treasure hunting, give us a call. We have some ideas to share.
We don't have a phone number.
Leave us a 5-star review.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Leave us a 5-star review.
Leave us some hints in the review for other people,
We'll reach out and we'll put you on this trail.
Yes, I like it.
We'll put you on Paul Raines.
All right, let's close the door now. All right, let's close down stores now.
All right, so drop
until next time, guys.
All right, take these guys.